الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم افتح علينا فتوح العارفين ووفقنا توفيق الصالحين وانفعنا اللهم بالقرآن والذكر الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يقربنا منك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue from where we've left off on page 28 in English, 29 in Arabic. The great Imam said, أيها الولد إذا علمت هذا الحديث لا حاجة إلى العلم الكثير. O disciple, if you have knowledge of this tradition, there is no need for much learning. The tradition being in the page previously, work for your terrestrial life in proportion to your stay in it, and work for your afterlife in proportion to your eternity in it. Work for Allah in proportion to your need for Him, and work for the fire in proportion to your ability to endure it. This is one of the statements of Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Shibli, the great Gnostic and Wali of Allah, the student of Imam Junaid, radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. And as al-ghazali mentions that he says he chose this hadith, or he picked up this hadith from all the hadith and traditions that he knew, which sufficed for him his life. He was content and vigilant about what is happening with him. The hadith says, work for this dunya as long as you stay in there. And we know we're not going to stay in the dunya for long. And people have given many analogies as to how long this dunya is. The analogy given by the Prophet ﷺ is thus most worthy to be mentioned. He said, ﷺ, the example of a person in this dunya is like a person on horseback riding to a journey. And on his journey, he decides to take a break and have a nap. So he comes off, he rests under a tree, takes a nap, then mounts back on again and continues with his journey. The life of this dunya is but the nap that he had under the tree. That's all it was. It's literally like the blink of an eye. Each one of us have grown up, but if you look back at your life, 20, 25 years, 30 years, 35, how many years do we actually remember? How much can we count? And similar to how life has gone, the remaining life will also pass very soon. Every moment in our lives, we are coming closer to our death. It thus makes it important for an intelligent person to realize that you can't stop death. So prepare for it, because you're going to meet it. It is that drink that everyone must drink. It is that door that everyone must pass through. So now that we know we're going to go, prepare for the akhira and work for the dunya as long as you shall remain in here. Work for the dunya as long as you shall remain in here. There's no point trying to pile up sums of money while you leave everything behind. As the Prophet ﷺ said, your money is what you've sent forth. What you leave behind is the wealth of your children, your inheritors. What's yours is what's gone forward. The hadith continues to say, and work for your afterlife to the proportion of the eternity you should have therein. That is to say, the afterlife is forever, it's eternal. There's no end. It thus makes it important for us to work for that end, i.e. the no end, the akhirah. When we travel to Hajj, for example, for argument's sake, let's say Hajj is next month, or Hajj is starting next month. When are we going to start planning to travel? This month, right? When are you going to go purchase your ticket? As early as possible. When will you go purchase your ihram? When will you make your provisions? Early. You ain't going to go and purchase the ticket a night before you travel, or go and collect the visa a night before you travel, or purchase your ihram the night before you travel. You prepare depending on the length of the journey, the importance of the journey that is to come. You stay 1 month in Makkah, Medina, you prepare for a month's journey. If you're going to Pakistan, for example, people do the return back home, and your stay there is going to be for 6 months. You're going to take provisions with you that will last you 6 months. If you're going for 2 days, you're not going to take a suitcase. I hope you're not anyway. Take a handbag and you move. Small luggage. But if you're going for a long period of time, then the provisions are longer. Allah Ta'ala speaks about this in the Quran. وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. Make provisions, and the best provision for the hereafter is taqwa of Allah. As Ibn Ata'illah says, radiallahu ta'ala an, there is nothing or no one that you should feel jealous towards, that is good jealousy, where you wish for that person to continue in the bounty and for yourself to also have that bounty from Allah Ta'ala, except for a person who is enveloped in taqwa. Except for a person who is enveloped in taqwa, who lives his life in taqwa. And then Ibn Ata'illah continues to say further, and what a beautiful life that is, that you live your life in taqwa. Taqwa is a preparation for the next life, because there the life is for eternity, right? Not for a short period of time, not for 8 months, not for a year, not for 20 years. Thus it's intelligence to work hard. You know, when we were young, my father used to say to me, don't play too much, study now, you'll play later. Study now, pass your exams, you do well in life, then it's time for you to enjoy some life. Those, as you saw as young children, occupied their time in play and did not study, didn't do well in education. They may still do well in the dunya, but not well in education, not in studying and becoming a person with a career. But that's what we expected to do at school, because of you knowing what's going to come in the future. You prepare then for that future. If you miss that boat, it's not going to come back. But losing out in the dunya doesn't really make a big difference in the hereafter. But losing out in the hereafter is something that we cannot bear. Loss there is the greatest loss. So we should be preparing now. Every moment of our lives, there should be some form of preparation for the meeting that we shall have with Allah Ta'ala and the hereafter. And then the hadith continues to say, work for Allah to the amount that you need Him. Work for Allah to the amount that you need Him. There is not a moment that we don't need Allah Ta'ala. For every breath, for every drop of blood that flows in our veins, for every beat of the heart, for every eyelid that we blink, for everything that we need Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Without Allah Ta'ala we can't exist. For good in this life and good in the hereafter, we need Allah. So when we come to realize how much we need Allah, work according to how much you need Him, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and work for the fire in proportion to your ability to endure it. How long can we exist in the fire of the dunya, let alone in the fire of the hereafter? According to one narration amongst the Sufi works, we find that if a person was to go and stay a moment in the fire of Jahannam, he could come back and sleep in this fire because of the intensity of that fire. Or in one of the narrations we find amongst the Sufi books, is that if Jahannam, if the fire of Jahannam was opened up such that a spark of that fire was to come on earth, it would destroy this earth because of the heat that it has. We know the account of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam when he was taken to the Jabarut and the Malakut, and he asked to see Jannah and to see Jahannam, and it was said to him, you can't bear both, you can't bear either. If you see Jannah, it is so beautiful that your soul would come out in love for Jannah, and if you see Jahannam, your body will melt out of fear of what you see. This is why the angel who is appointed at Jahannam, Malik, when the Prophet ﷺ met him on Mi'raj, he didn't smile. And Jibreel ﷺ said, had he smiled for anyone, it would have been for you, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Why does he not smile? Because he's at the brink of Jahannam at all times. He sees the intensity of this creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can't endure the fire. Now that we know we can't endure the fire, it's upon us to prepare to save ourselves from that fire. That sufficed this great wali of Allah. This is the Imam Ghazali then says, O disciple, if you have knowledge of this hadith, there is no need for much learning. By much learning, he means studying the basic deen, but then continuing your journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the key, is being steadfast on this journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is what will benefit you and I in the hereafter. وتأمل في حكايات أخرى وذلك أن حاتما الأصم كان من أصحاب الشقيق البلخي رحمة الله تعالى عليهما فسأله يوما قال صاحبتني منذ 30 سنة ما حصلت فيها؟ قال حصلت 8 فوائد من العلم وهي تكفيني منه لأني أرجو خلاصي ونجاتي فيها. فقال شقيق ما هي؟ قال حاتم الأصم. Meditate on some other quotations. Hatim al-Asam was one of the companions of Shaykh Balkhi, the great wali of Allah, both of them. And one day, Shaykh Balkhi asked Hatim, "You have kept my company for 30 years. What have you got out of them? What have you learned from 30 years of my company?" He said, meaning Hatim, "I got 8 useful lessons by way of knowledge, and they are enough of it for me. For I hope my deliverance and salvation to be because of them." So Shaqiq said, "What are they?" And Hatim then mentions these 8. Now Imam Ghazali is going to mention all 8. Each one of them is a gem in itself and self-explanatory. What's expected and required from us is to ponder over them. Is to ponder over these meanings. The Faida Ula, what does he say? He says, أني نظرت إلى الخلق فرأيت لكل منهم محبوبا ومعشوقا يحبه ويعشقه وبعد ذلك المحبوب يصاحبه إلى مرض الموت وبعضه إلى شفير القبر ثم يرجع كله ويتركه فريدا وحيدا ولا يدخل معه في قبر منهم أحد. فتفكرت وقلت أفضل محبوب المرء ما يدخل في قبره ويؤانسه فيه فما وجدت غير الأعمال الصالحة فأخذتها محبوبا لي لتكون سراجا لي في قبري وتؤانسني فيه ولا تتركني فريدا. The first useful lesson is, I observed mankind and saw that everyone had an object of love and of infatuation which he loved and with which he was infatuated with. Some of what was loved accompanied him, i.e. that person, up to the sickness of death, and some up to the graveside. Then all went back and left him alone, and not one of them entered his grave with him. So I pondered and I said, the best of what one loves is what will enter one's grave and be a friend to one in it. I found it to be nothing but good deeds. So I took them as the object of my love, to be a light for me in my grave, to be a friend to me in it and not leave me all alone. And this has been mentioned in traditions before us, about people have 3 types of friends. One leaves them at the deathbed and one leaves at the grave and only one enters. What leaves you at the deathbed is your wealth that you love so much. But once you die, it's not going to go further with you. It's going to be passed into the hand of another. So what help is such wealth? And the second are your family members, your kin, your friends, that walk with you, carry you to your grave. But how long do they really remain there? They leave you and they walk away. And after a few days you're forgotten. They continue their lives like normal. They have happy times and they have sad moments. What enters your grave with you are your actions, good and bad. And this is what Hatim al-Asam is speaking about here. After looking at people of the world and what they loved, everything that they loved, the object of their love left them in the dunya. And the only thing that entered with them into their grave that will support you and I are our good actions, a'mal salihah. So he took them to be his most beloved, his friends. That he took his time with them, at all times acquiring good deeds. The good deeds became his friends. That's who he lived with. At all times acquiring a'mal salihah, so that he can have company with him in his grave. And we know this to be the truth. We know this to be the truth. We can hide the truth in the dunya and not be concerned about what will happen when we die. But the truth of the matter is, when we're there, we're alone. Everything of the dunya, what we wanted to do, what we acquired, will be left behind. The only thing that remains is the name. And what good is a name? People speaking good about you in the dunya, but yet in the qabr you find yourself to be in the wrath of Allah, wal-iyadhu billah, or you find yourself not to be in comfort. We know the grave, as the Prophet ﷺ said, do not take it to be a pile of soil, but rather it will be either a garden from the gardens of heaven or a ditch from the ditches of the fire. And this is the first state. Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan, Khalifa Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the third caliph, when he would come to a grave, when he would hear the mention of a grave, he would weep. And they say he would weep so much until his beard would become wet upon speaking or standing in front of a grave. And they would say to him, why is it, O Khalifa, that you hear about the fire and other punishments that may be, but you don't see such a state coming over you that we see when the grave is mentioned in front of you? He said it's because this is the first test. If you're successful here, you'll be successful thereafter. This is where you're left alone. You have no one with you, no company. And if you have someone to keep you comfort, i.e. a'mal salihah, you'll find it easy on the Day of Judgment. The grave in itself is something that we should be reading upon and reminding ourselves, so that people become focused and understand that there is something after life, the barzakh, Yawm al-Qiyamah, Jannah, Jahannam. It's the only way that people will remain conscious of what's happening. Otherwise, we get caught up into this dunya, sometimes into work, sometimes into family issues, sometimes into other issues, in play, and slowly but surely life passes by. And then all of a sudden you find it that the angel of death has come knocking the door. And he doesn't give time, he takes you. And that's what's going to happen. There's not going to be a day where you're told today's your last day. He will come and he will take our souls. But wouldn't it be beautiful that we are waiting for him, yearning to see Allah, yearning to see Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to be in that company. Al-Fa'idah al-Thaniyah, the second fa'idah, the second benefit that Hatim al-Assam mentions. أني رأيت الخلق يقتدون بأهوائهم ويبادرون إلى مرادات أنفسهم فتأملت قوله تعالى وأما من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى فإن الجنة هي المأوى وتيقنت أن القرآن حق صادق فبادرت إلى خلاف نفسي وتشمرت لمجاهدتها ومنعها عن هواها حتى ارتاضت لطاعة الله تعالى سبحانه وتعالى وانقادت. The second useful lesson is the following. He said, I saw mankind being guided by their pleasures and hurrying to what their egos desired. So I meditated on his saying, I pondered over the saying of Allah Ta'ala, that as for him who feared standing before Allah, his Lord, and kept the soul back from vain pleasure, the garden is his final abode. What a beautiful verse that is. I was certain that the Quran is genuine truth, so I hurried to what my ego was opposed to, and I set to work combating it and restraining it from its pleasures until it was satisfied with obedience to God, the glorified, the exalted, and it gave up. There's some beautiful lessons in that one, and hope. One, and the first clear lesson is that the hawa takes you towards evil. The hawa takes you towards pleasures of this life. The hawa can be translated as your ego, as your pleasures, as lust, whatever suits that place and that time. What we've been asked to do by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to control and curb this hawa that takes us towards evil. Now what Hatim al-Assam says first is that he pondered over the verse, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ, as for the one who fears standing in front of Allah on Yawm al-Qiyamah, وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى, and because of this fear that he will have with Allah Ta'ala on Yawm al-Qiyamah standing in front of him, he prevented his hawa from what it desired. فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى, for him Jannah is his final abode. That one verse kept him curbing his hawa, such that the hawa became nafs mutma'inna. And that's the hope, that if you persevere in holding back the hawa, a time will come when your hawa will become obedient to you. At a time where picking up the heaviest weight for a person in a gym of 200 kg, 150 becomes easier than picking up a misbaha at tasbih in the morning, or picking up the Quran in the morning, or getting up out of bed in the morning. It's easier to pick up such large weights than to pick up against the hawa, because the hawa wants to sleep. The hawa wants to enjoy life. Controlling the hawa, as we know from the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, leads to beauty in the heart. He said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the gaze is a poisonous arrow from the arrows of shaitan. He who leaves it for the sake of Allah, this is hawa, controls it for the sake of Allah, Allah will place in his heart such a pleasure that will suffice him. Try it. And I speak to our brothers, myself, and everyone that may listen. Go out and work with Allah Ta'ala. He's given a promise. Work against your nafs. Very soon you'll find that the nafs becomes subservient to what you want to do. It calls towards good. And the sweetness you feel in dhikr, in iman, is far better and greater than any sweetness that a person may feel from the dunya. Yes.
Shaykh, just elaborating on that point, can you give us some practical examples of how to, for example?
Of which point particularly?
Just combating the nafs, just generally.
People are different. And like with every different person, the hawa calls people to different ways. But each one of us is familiar with ourselves. Some people, for example, the sight is the most dangerous thing to them. That what they see, even the least is this, that you come to a city center, for example, on a hot summer's day, and all you see is haram. So you try to control the gaze. The least you have is that your mind remains occupied in trying to fight yourself. And if you see evil, then it stays pondering over the mind. The practical way is not to attend such a scenario, not to be there. And if you're there, the eyes remain lowered. Some people, alhamdulillah ala dhalik, are stronger with their sight. But they may not be good with their stomach, for example. They may not be good with their tongue, for example. They may enjoy play. Each person is different. One needs to look at where they stand. Some of the basic remedies that the ulama have mentioned, the Sufis, which work for everyone, is eating less. This has a big impact on the heart. Eating less. Maintaining silence has a major impact on the heart, because it gives you time to ponder. As we know from the hadith, let alone people falling into the fire because of the tongue, the least that you lose is opportunity to do good. Whether that be making dhikr of Allah by the tongue silently, or pondering over the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So eating less, speaking less. Eating less will lead to sleeping less. But why is sleeping less important? It's that you're able to wake up in the early hours of the morning and worship Allah Ta'ala. Sleeping less in itself is not the aim. It's the means. But if you eat less, you'll sleep less. And the best of all of this, I tell you, the best of all of this is maintaining good company. So if you, for example, in the Shadhili way, and you're going to go make dhikr in the evening, and you make dhikr after Maghrib, and you make it alone, but you feel lazy, and the second day you feel lazy, meet a brother in your community, go sit with him and make dhikr together. If it's every day, do it every day. If you can't do it every day, do it twice a week, 3 times a week. But meet people that are similar-minded to you. One encourages the other to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Take account of yourself. Make a timetable. Okay, 5 prayers a day, 30 days in a month. How many of these prayers did I attend in Jama'ah, for example? Because the masjid has its own barakah. It has angels calling people in. The serenity you find in the masjid, you're not going to find in other places. Once you're in the masjid, you protect yourself from harm. Reading, for example, reading the books from al-ghazali is outstanding for the heart, because it makes you reflect, ponder. Pick up a book like this daily, but read little. Reading the Quran is more powerful, but read it with some understanding. Make it part of your habit daily. I'm going to read Surah Yaseen in the morning, and I'm going to read Surah Mulk in the evening, but at a particular time of the morning and the evening, 1 verse I will read in English with its commentary. The effect of the Quran is beyond words. The thing that helps people, really, if you really want to change the heart, is waking up in the early hours of the morning and shedding some tears. when you're alone with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It really it works wonders. Qiyamul Layl works wonders because you have no one to show. You're only up for the sake of Allah ta'ala. And the mercy that descends is beyond words, really beyond words. We feel this in Ramadan specifically because people are up at that time anyway. We make dua to Allah. The whole month is of purity. But if you have something to really ignite you in the morning, keep you strong, the wird, Fajr and Jama'ah, Quran, the whole day goes good. Even if there is some fault you make, because of the good you've collected in the morning, it serves as a protection towards the evil that comes. And if you have nothing to hold on to, some dhikr, some muraqabah, some contemplation, some pondering of the Quran, nothing to hold on to, any evil that comes pierces the heart every time. And then the whole day goes pondering over, I've made a mistake, do I make tawbah or should I commit another sin? People are in different realms, everyone's in a different realm. Some of you, inshallah, are such that the heart yearns to do better. Every day is better than the previous day. Some of us are stuck really, we're slaves to our nafs, we're slaves to our sins. Our mind is, you commit a sin, you make tawbah, you commit a sin, you make a tawbah. People need to learn how to develop. The best way is good company. There is nothing stronger than good company. You maintain good company, you become better. You keep bad company or you don't keep good company, you have no one to encourage you. I hope that can maybe assist in some ways, inshallah. But of course, there's many more things that definitely do help. Definitely do help. But people are different. People understand their weaknesses. You know yourself better than I can know you, any Shaykh can know you. So you know, for example, if eating late at night won't allow you to wake up for Fajr and Jama'ah or the Qiyamul Layl, then don't eat late at night. One, it's bad for your health anyway, but you're losing out on something greater. If you know going to a certain circle where a lot of people joke and insult one another, lead to a lot of laghu kalam, useless speech, and you come back feeling low, then if you can't change them, don't sit with them. If you can't offer good, don't take any evil upon yourself. Change your company. I find, and people find it that you're splitting up, but I really find it. If you sit with brothers in your tariq who are all same focused, same minded, you'll find yourself speeding towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you speak about the same Shaykh with a lot of love, encouragement for one another. You talk about experiences, dreams. You talk about, one will speak about his strength, will encourage you that inshallah I could do the same. If me and you sit down, and Allah give tawfiq, one of you says to me, I controlled my sight for 3 days. I made sure nothing comes to my sight. I controlled my ears and my sight for 3 days. And after 3 nights, I saw the vision of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How do you think I'm going to feel? Happy for you, but you know what will happen inside me is encouragement. If my brother could do this, and he was given that, I could do this. Because we need practical examples in front of our eyes, people developing in front of Allah. I met a brother in Birmingham. He says, I believe in tariq, I believe in tasawwuf, I believe in giving bay'ah. But what I see is I've sat with all you people speaking to me, but I've seen no change in you from when you took bay'ah and afterwards. You're the same. There's no change. Why should I give bay'ah? And that's a fault upon ourselves. That is there a change? And the best people who know you are those who are around you. Your wives, your family members. If you've got issues with anger, for example, you maintain certain names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you maintain silence. It has big impact on people. A big impact. You don't put yourself into situations where the nafs or the hawa will get some strength. You work against the nafs and the hawa at all times. And if you're focused with your wird, with good company, over a short period of time, the nafs actually starts calling towards good. And if it doesn't call towards good, you'll feel bad that you've not attended jama'ah. That is a sense of iman, that you set a Saturday, you're not at work, dhuhr time, you prayed at home. Your nafs to tell you, you could have done better. And if you're in that state, this is a good sign that your iman is alive, thriving, pushing you forward. And that's one of the best things you could have. Your own company calls you towards good. Allah Ta'ala give tawfiq, inshallah. that we understand the words of this great Imam and ponder over these 8 benefits that Imam Hatim al-Assam mentions to Shaykh Balkhi. Each one of them, there is a treasure in it, and there is benefit for you and I in these books. But we ponder and we try to act better and grow stronger in Iman. وبالله توفيق وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.